This is Audiobook Caboodle YouTube channel. Place for finest collection of audiobooks and novels.
Don't Marry by James W. Donovan, Section 6. Don't marry too hastily. Some rush into matrimony like a steam engine going to put out a fire, as though one moment lost would be eternal defeat, and the first there gain the highest prize. Many a one has repented more leisurely and in sorrow for such conduct. But of all things, marry at a good opportunity. Don't be too slow about it. Girls who give up the society of all but one and turn their homes into special receptions for one person will be worried to death in a year or two if things move too moderately. Brace up and proceed to business, or release your claim and let someone else have an opportunity. Long engagements lead to lovers' quarrels. They in turn fail to make up sometimes, and then follow scandal and gossip over broken ties, and later too go down to their early sleep disheartened, ruined by a trifling neglect and a reasonable inventory of prospects. You will see it all plainly when it is over. It will be a might have been, then, sure enough, but too late. Don't marry a silly girl. It is something of an art to select a sensible person, but many are captivated by frivolous sayings and coquettish acts of simpering schoolgirls, and marry them. They make better playmates than wives. They are generally shallow, nonsensical, and superficial. They seldom learn anything. A tittering girl is wearisome in real life. They are ever unstable as water, and changeable as wind. Get someone you can rely upon in confidence. Avoid slovenly dressed girls or heedless men. Life seems very short sometimes, but if ill-mated, it may be a long and tiresome life. A woman with shoes run down, a man with slouched and battered hat, reckless of neatness, will grow worse and seldom better. Trifling as it may appear, the tidy dress, the tasty everyday apparel, the ladylike appearance, and the general style of man or woman go a long way to form character. Beecher was right in saying that clothes do not make the man, but they make him look better after he is made. The same rule is true for women. Don't expect too much in marriage. The story pen pictures and fashion plate models of men that we see and read about are always exaggerated. Not one man in a million would equal their description. Men are plain flesh and blood creatures. Women are not angels. They build their hopes too high who expect otherwise. Take the handsomest person you know, and 10 years' wear will dull the edges, and of all faded features, the ones very handsome show change the soonest. There are many little odd-faced fellows who grow up to be fine manly men. The growth from boyhood or girlhood to youth, and youth to manhood or womanhood, and so on to old age, is marvelous. It takes a keen sense of foresight to measure the future of many boys and girls by their training. There is no rule safer than choosing a good form, a good brain, a good temper, and a good character, and waiting for the other developments. Endure what cannot be cured, and don't wish your wife or husband were as handsome as some neighbor, or as rich as some nabob. Youth and good qualities are riches. It may be he is richer by far than the very one envied. The richest are not always those who own the most. Many of these are poor indeed, and often miserable. Don't marry a fop. Vanity in women is bad enough. In men it is intolerable. A man milliner, a namby-pamby female male, a walking model for ready-made furnishing stores may think himself exceedingly stunning, but to a real lady or gentleman he is a non-entity. Such husbands could never be satisfied with the admiration you would give them. They would weary your mirrors and try your patience. What are they good for anyway? There is room for women and room for men, but a half woman or a half man is never great. They are not very likely to marry at all, and less likely to make a home happy. Don't expect everything of one person. Some expect to marry love, beauty, talent, riches, and affection all in one. It is unreasonable. You will never find it, and may as well give up looking in good season. Walken Miller was requested to rewrite an article sent to a New York magazine, and returned this pithy reply: "I can't recopy it. I can't do everything. What do you expect of a man anyway? To be a genius, an inventor, and a writing teacher? No, I can't bother my brains with copying worth $400 to $600 a year at the highest." This covers the whole subject in a sentence. But it is well to add that nature is sparing in her gifts. To one she allots beauty, to another strength, to another wisdom, to a third courage, to a fourth ability to acquire riches, to another that to write and speak, to teach, to manage, to paint, or to control armies. All are not alike, and to no one belong all virtues. Don't expect too much of a wife. If she is beautiful, that will be her pride and ideal. If plain, she may make it up 1,000 times in goodness, gentleness, industry, virtue. The plainest are the least tempted. Earnest in her duty, she may be of all women the most suited to your station. If talented, she will devote herself to it. You cannot own beauty, talent, domestic drudgery all in one. "Looking for angels, are you?" said an advanced maiden in the country. "Well, you'll not find 'em fit for kitchen work, and while I think of it, how would you look by the side of an angel, you brute you?" And he subsided. No, they are not much suited to kitchen work, the so-called angels, but many a mother who has brought up a large family as her own kitchen maid, without servants, who has braved the hardships of poverty and privation, has led a life but little lower than the angels, after all. Don't marry and cross your husband. While on this division, don't cross your wife just at dinner time. After the cares of business, he is tired, fretful, and she is of special humor. To make a dispute is much easier than to make a coal fire. Wait. Don't flash up and speak back, and irritate by quick answer. Wait. If man or woman could only wait in seasons of anger, all would blow over, and harmony return like spring flowers that are not always in blossom. Don't both speak at once, nor both get angry at once, nor both be too determined at once. No one is ever convinced by angry tones. It is horribly repulsive to talk so. Besides, you will both be sorry for it very many times. Wait, and let your judgment mature after dinner. Quarrel, if you must, in whispers. That is the new fashion. Try the newer form. About 10,000 new divorces could be prevented each year by observing these rules of common sense and reason. When will married people and unmarried people and lovers and neighbors learn how pleasant peace is and how awkward it is to quarrel together? One man pounds his finger with a tack hammer and blames his wife for it a month later. One man's goose gets in a neighbor's garden and is killed, perhaps served him right, and yet they are sworn enemies for 5 years later. And not until some child is rescued from a burning building or a mad dog by the enemy neighbor do the two know how pleasant and useful it is to dwell in harmony. Families who have been estranged for years are someday, called to look into the sightless eyes that once flashed in anger, or lay away in its earthy home the form they shunned for some trifling answer in a passion. If we knew how soon, how cautious we would be. Life is so short to quarrel and make up in. They who quarrel may never make up. Don't marry in fun. Be in earnest about a matter of so much moment. It may seem funny to a lot of girls out on a sleigh ride to call in on someone and wind up an escapade by a double wedding, but few of such marriages ever end well. Sudden and ill-considered matches are mismatches. You may have a mother, a sister, or a family to consult, then the old-fashioned way is the best. It's a left-handed marriage at best that will not allow the forms used for ages to strengthen its solemnity. Let the world know by open dealing that you have married above any secrecy, elopement, or underhanded fashion. Be brave enough to follow the form of society in a manner that concerns every neighbor and every relative. Marry at home or at church, in good form, without display. Marry according to the best usage of the best people, and you will reap some benefit from the sensible conclusion. Don't marry without an eye to comfort. A man that expects to live 30 years or more with a partner will investigate his likes and dislikes. So should a woman. Are you ready to attend a cattle ranch and brave the frontier? Then look the matter clearly in the face at the first hint of the man's proposal who expects it. Do you prefer the city to the country? Look to the earliest opportunity. Can you endure a soldier's absence or wait for an explorer? Or will you prefer a domestic relation that brings you both under one roof daily? These questions should be answered soon enough to prevent regret, remorse, or separation. The greatest of all dangers in marriage is the color blindness of lovers. They never use but one color, rose color, till a few weeks after the wedding. End of section 6.
This was Audiobook Caboodle YouTube channel presentation. We hope you enjoyed listening. For full audiobook, check out our playlist section. Links in description below.